Storytime, is blood really thicker than water? Metaphorically speaking, of course. So a little background information, I was 16 years old and I was in 10th grade. And I had just started dating this guy that my friends introduced me to. He was extremely attractive, really smart, and really kind. Literally had all the traits a girl could want in a boyfriend. So him and I are talking for a while, and then we start dating, and we were amazing together. And my sister had just came back home from teaching in Thailand. Surprisingly, her and I got super close because we always used to fight with each other. And now we were inseparable. The only issue was she was 25 years old acting like a child. She always wanted to be at my boyfriend's house with him and his family. Weird, I know. Anyway, so she was always over there with them, and I thought that maybe she was just lonely. Wrong, of course. Now, of course, like any other relationship, mine wasn't perfect, but my boyfriend and I started having more problems than usual when my sister showed up. He was being super weird, and all the signs pointed to him cheating on me. Like for part 2. Part 2, is blood thicker than water? Metaphorically speaking, of course. So like I said, my sister started spending more time at my boyfriend's house. I thought that she was lonely, but then my boyfriend started acting weird and all the signs pointing to him cheating on me. But I ignored it because I thought that him and I were in love like in the movies. And also, if I broke up with him, it would be like breaking up with his family because I loved them like my own. Fast forward, his sister ends up getting married and my sister and I were invited to the wedding. Fast forward, everybody gets drunk. We end up spending the night at his cousin's house. And something was off with my boyfriend. He wasn't really talking to me. He wouldn't touch me. He pretty much acted like he was done with me. Well, then there's my sister who was flirting and touching him like it was normal. Fast forward a month, I asked my sister if anything happened between them. And she goes, I think so. I confronted him about it. And he just laughs and he's like, it wasn't that serious. So I end up breaking up with him. And eventually I got so lonely to the point where I forgave my sister. And then I started seeing this other guy. And he was amazing. Like for part 3. Part 3, is blood thicker than water? So like I said, I forgave my sister and then I got a new guy. He was amazing. And then my sister started begging to hang out with us. Now, of course, you would have thought that I learned from the first time, but I did not. I just completely ignored the signs that God gave me that she was a bad person. Well, the one weekend his parents went away and they needed him to house sit, so he invited me over to house sit with him, and then guess who tags along? My sister. I mean, I guess I could have told her that she couldn't come, but at the same time, I was trying to be a forgiving person, okay? And I thought that she wouldn't do this to me again. Well, I was wrong. The worst part of this is they started dating and my mom was on her side. It's been 3 years and I'm still trying to forgive her.
My mother moved in her abusive boyfriend into our house only for him to abuse me, and she did nothing about it. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. All of this happened over 10 years ago. When I was 16, my mother met the devil in the form of a personal trainer. My mom and dad at the time had gotten a divorce. My dad started dating somebody else, and my mom started dating her personal trainer. Now, the extent of her obsession with this man was disgusting. She would do anything to impress him. She would even try to pay for his bills. She got him a bunch of clients for his gym. She would buy him gifts every single week. She was completely and utterly obsessed. From the moment I met him, I knew there was something wrong with him. He would tell my mom that I needed to be disciplined. I also judged the way that I dressed. He would judge my friends, so I started defending myself. I would talk back to him, but this just made him even angrier. Let me just give you some context. I was a straight A student, I was captain of my soccer team, and my mom and I had never had any issues before that. So he kept brainwashing my mom into believing that I was just a bad kid. And for some reason, my mom started agreeing with him. 2 months later, he convinced my mom that he should move in with us. That's when the abuse started. He gave us rules. If I broke them, I had to run for an hour. Part 2 is up. So he made a set of rules. He typed them out, printed them, and put them on the fridge. And if I broke any of these rules, I had to run on the treadmill for an hour. Like I said, my mom and I had never had any issues before him. We were more like best friends and she believed me. At this point, he had completely brainwashed her into believing that I was just a rebel and that I needed to be disciplined. One of his rules was that I couldn't eat past 10 p.m. He would lock the fridge so that I couldn't get in. I would come home so late from school because I was in so many clubs and sports. By the time I came home, he would force me to do my homework. After that, I had about half an hour to stuff my face with anything I could find. He even told my mom not to make me dinner because I needed to become self-sufficient. I lost about 10 pounds within a month. I was playing soccer every single day. When I would get to school, I would try to eat as much as I could. One day, I broke the lock on the fridge and he threw me so hard into a wall, I got a concussion. He told my mom that I did it. After he threw me into the wall and gave me a concussion, he told my mom that I was the one trying to fight him, that all he did was try to push me off and I hit the wall. My mom believed him. He would find any reason to grab me by the arm and shake me. He would hide my backpack and my shoes so that I would be late to school. And anytime my friends came over, he would bully us. Eventually, it escalated to slapping me every time I talked back. My mom would see it and not do anything. When I complained to her, she would cry but not do anything. everything. I asked her to kick him out and she didn't. She told me that she was afraid of being by herself. I was not gonna wait for the next time. I grabbed my backpack and ran to my dad's house. And when I told my dad what was happening, he took me to the police and we made a report. When the police showed up to my mom's house, she came to her senses and realized what was happening. She kicked him out and I didn't speak to her for 3 years. I ended up getting back with him, but then they broke up again. I'm now into real estate and I own several properties. My dad and I see each other every single day. I barely speak to my mom. I recently found out she got back together with him. How do I break them up? Give me ideas.
Story time on how I almost got kidnapped. So this should be fun. This story starts when I was about 5 years old. I was at daycare just minding my business, and the person that had kidnapped me had just gotten out of jail. So the person this is actually about is in my family. So I'm not going to name which family member because I'm not trying to explain myself to the crazy one. This person, we're going to call them Peanut Butter. Peanut Butter was in jail for a year prior to this incident. And after Peanut Butter got out of jail, she needed money. So everybody else in my family had already given her a lot of money, and I don't think they were willing to give her any more, which is shocking because they give her money whenever she needs it. So she came to the one family member that didn't, my mom. Well, she still didn't give her money. So she went to my daycare. Just to make this clear, she didn't know where we lived. She didn't know what daycare I went to. And one of my other lovely family members, though I don't really think we're on speaking terms with, gave her my location and the daycare I went to, and they're going to be Jelly. But basically, Jelly gave her our location and everywhere I was. So she comes up to my daycare. And mind you, she did not have it before, so we know it's from this person. But she comes to my daycare where I am learning and growing and doing all that. And she tells me she's picking me up. And little 5-year-old me is just in absolute shock because I know she is not allowed to pick me up. And I know there's a specific list of people that are. And the daycare wasn't going to check the list because she said she was a family member, which I think is absolutely crazy because she was just in jail and they have no clue if she's actually my family member. The teachers asked me, they're like, is she allowed to pick you up? And I was like, no, she was just in jail. No, she's not allowed to pick me up. So they call my mom just to make sure because they're I'm 5. I get it. So they call my mom and my mom was like, do not send her with her. I won't ever see her again, or I'll have to pay her crazy amount of money. So basically my mom shows up to the daycare and picks me up early. It was so I don't really know why she was still there because she wasn't getting me. But then she calls the person that she knows told her, Jelly, where we were, and they were like, yeah, I just thought be on good terms. And my mom was like, be on good terms as in she just tried to take my kid. That was all for my story. If you guys want more crazy family stories, let me know. Love you.